presenting Mortgage and Muscles, and I have my guy here, Alex Elton. And we're just going to go a little bit about the market, of course, real estate. He is a realtor, as well as investing options, with all that's going on with the economy, different opportunities that are available, and just staying in shape. As we're getting closer to 40, and we still got some juice left, right?
We're trying.
He's trying. So that's what we're going to get into, and we'll take it from there. So Alex, I appreciate you coming out, brother. We've known each other since like 18 years old, back at Ruby Tuesdays off of Monument, right? I think we had off of Monument. We've known each other for a while. You got into the real estate industry. How long has it been specifically?
3 years now.
3 years now. Yeah, so it's been a little bit, and just give me some insight of what you've seen. You started kind of at the point where before the market adjusted to where we're at now.
Yeah, so I've been in real estate now for 3 years. Like Jacob said, we met at a restaurant when we were young lads, and definitely had a lot of growth since then.
For sure.
But I was fortunate, right before I got into real estate, I was working at a really nice restaurant. I think one of the nicest restaurants in Jacksonville, Restaurant Medor, which is in Ponte Vedra, Florida. And at some point I realized like most of the people I was taking care of were like presidents and CEOs. And it got to the point where like my general manager would actually be like hounding me to get away from tables because he knew I wasn't talking about food.
Okay.
He was like, you're talking about business. You're, just trying to learn as much as I could from these people that obviously were doing so well in different industries. And I actually had done well enough on some investments to make like a decision to kind of pivot to something different. And I decided, I'm going to get my mortgage loan origination. I'm going to start, doing this for a living. I'm going to do loans for people, help with their mortgage.
Okay.
And turned out, you go to Barnes and Nobles in Florida, and what are all the books on? Real estate.
Yeah.
So I kind of saw it as a sign and ended up getting Real Estate for Dummies. And I read it almost cover to cover, did all the little tests. And a month and a half later, I actually had my Florida license. So I've been doing that for 3 years now.
Dope. So that's another thing people talk about. So that's, real estate exam. You can do it personally, or you can do it in person or online. How do you feel about the test? Was it like, do you feel like that book kind of, for people that's interested, went over the material?
Well, I'll never forget like sitting in the class, the 7-day class, the 63-hour that they make you take. Within the first few days, it was basically highlighted that I never should have read that book.
Okay.
That it teaches you a bunch of stuff that are unrelated to Florida real estate, but it still, I think, set a good precedent within me that like, I can do this, I can tackle this book. And I learned a lot about, I think, different real estate markets. And it still prepared me in a way. And the test wasn't incredibly hard. The in-class wasn't. The state test, definitely a very difficult test. I was fortunate to pass it the first time because I remember, again, the moment I sat down for that test and read the first 10 questions, I was like, okay, Alex, like, it's okay if you fail this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The verbiage and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
But ended up, passing that. And I started at a brokerage, which it was a team at a brokerage. But they were, had a really high split structure. I learned a lot, just did a few deals, but knew I had to pivot. And in my second year, I went to a different brokerage with just a better pay structure, good leads, and had a really successful year. But I'm now at my third brokerage, kind of leveled up each time and have been able to level up the people that I'm working with as well. Now have those repeat customers and getting listings from those buyers that I worked with. But in my second year last year, I did 19 transactions. They were all on the buy side. And I've been fortunate to read a lot of books on negotiation, and that's kind of where I hang my hat, is helping people save as much money as possible. At the end of the day, I really want to keep as much of, the person that I'm working with's money in their pocket as possible.
For sure. Would you say that you're focusing on the purchase price, the seller concessions, or certain like appraisal contingencies? What is like your strong negotiation kind of?
Well, so it really starts with a book by Chris Voss. It's called Never Split the Difference, Negotiating Like Your Life Depends on It. Chris Voss is an FBI negotiator, and I think if you read a little about him, he's, for me, I think, the best negotiator I've ever heard of or come in contact with via like what Chris you're reading.
Voss. Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
And what he talks about is like when you're negotiating as an FBI negotiator, you can't lose. Like you have to win because there's lives on the line.
For sure.
So if you lose, people die. So it's all about never splitting the difference, which is so common in negotiations. It's just like, we'll meet in the middle. We'll meet in the middle. But again, and this guy will literally go to like Harvard Business School, and they have like negotiation classes and like competitions, and he will like take everybody's lunch. He will literally like dominate these games because he's really good at what he does.
Okay.
But it really is all about setting the expectation with whomever you're working with early and kind of redefining their reality. And so like in negotiation specifically, like something that he talks about is, again, really starting at a place that's lower than you ever want to pay, knowing that, again, the tendency from the other side, if they're willing to negotiate, is to try to meet you in the middle.
Okay. So you're basically you're understanding what the second party is going to do. So your initial offer is already including that
move. And I'll see it too. And really, how he describes in the book, like I just had a deal this past like a few weeks ago where we went under contract, and it was listed at $1.85 million. I knew that my seller, or my buyer, I should say, didn't want to pay more than 1.65. That's $200K off the list price.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So where do we have to start? We have to start below that. We can't start at 165, or they're always going to try to pull us up,
anyway.
right? And so what you're looking for is, we're going to go lower than that. We're going to hope that they counter, and the stronger their counter is, or at least the farther down they come on their counter, the more likely I can tell immediately if we're going to get our number.
Okay.
So we offered 161. They countered at 1725, all the way down from 185, and immediately already. I'm like, we're going to get our price. Like, or it looks really likely that they'll come down even more.
How low did they actually go?
165.
165.
We're under contract.
And that's a nice size purchase deal for your second, third year in the market. That's a pretty aggressive purchase right there. How did you obtain those buyers, if you don't mind me asking?
So it was from my last brokerage. Was fortunate to be getting some good leads. And I actually, similarly, a deal that I closed earlier this year was listed at 2.1, and we got it under contract at 1.85, and that's what we closed at. So $250,000 off the list price on that one. Similarly, we started at 1.8. Mm-hmm. They countered us really well, like 1.95. They came down 1.50. So immediately you're saying, we can probably get this for less. And sure enough, the buyer that I was working with had already walked away from a deal before where the seller wouldn't come down at all. Mm-hmm. And so it is about picking your battles. But in this case, they proved that they would already come down. He went to 185, said, hey, this is it, take it or leave it. And I told the seller's agent, hey, he'll walk away. He's already done it once. And sure enough, they agreed, and they came down another, $100K or whatever it was.
And they probably originally purchased it for substantially less than.
That's right. And that's the nature of the market too, is like, again, you're talking about people that still purchased the home for 1.3 in 2018.
Yeah.
So exactly. Like, are they still netting enough to make it, a good decision?
Yeah.
Like, usually it is.
So that's very. So that's the one thing about having a very grounded, but it's not even about experience, but the way that they attack and offer for you, representing you, that is what you're getting. Signing that new NIFAR contract is your realtor is representing you, and they got to learn how to negotiate that good deal for you. So that's a prime example right there. So right at this point in time, I know that you told me earlier this morning you have a listing in St. Augustine. Do you have a certain type of market that you're actively looking at when you're helping clients right now?
I wouldn't say, like, I'll help anyone, right? Like, if I feel like you're in a position where you have a home you want to sell, or, you're in a position where you can buy, I'm going to do what I can to make it happen for you. I think really it's like the basics of real estate. You're looking for somebody who's ready, willing, and able. Mm-hmm. And if you match those three things, it's like I tell someone who's actively searching on the website for homes and sending me homes and doing some of the job that realtors often are required to do.
For sure.
I'm like, we're going to find a place. Mm-hmm. You're showing all the interest in it. Right. And you're pre-approved. You're ready to go. So like, I will totally dive into those people because they're showing the signs. And further, I will go out of my way if I feel like a person is right there on the edge, but just needs something to kind of tip the scales in their direction. Maybe it's just showing them a really attractive deal or whatever that looks like. And I do think it's a favorable market currently.
for buyers or
I think for both, like interest
both?
rates have fallen.
Yes, they have.
And that's all obviously helpful because buying power has increased. And just truthfully, I finished a book that was probably written about 15 years ago, the book on flipping houses. And they talk about getting a sub 7% rate. As long as the underlying value is there, it's probably a good idea to buy then. Like above 7%, as far as an investment, you're probably talking about something that's not as attractive. But again, the asset itself, you still want to get it for a relatively good deal for the market, but under 7%, it seems like a pretty positive thing to purchase at.
It's funny you say that. So I do a lot right now. Do a lot of mostly investment properties, a lot of commercials. I helped a client recently because he just did a bridge loan on a $2 million property. He did a rehab loan, so he actually is going to invest $450K into it. He bought it for $165, so he financed $2 million, but the ARV came back at $2.5. So he basically purchased it at a decent amount, but the rate's 12%. So he's done that bridge loan for 12 months. You know, he's going to pay that interest-only payment, and then we're going to get him to long-term financing. But another client I'm trying to close tomorrow, she's at 8.5, and I'm trying to get her to 7.5, and she's telling me there's not enough benefit because of the closing cost. So everybody has their own, nuances to what they're looking for. But I agree with you. You definitely want to keep your interest rates lower so that your profit be a little bit more tangible. But right now the market is holding people accountable for doing their due diligence up front with their numbers, and some deals are really, really tight because of that. That's for sure. Yeah, for clients that are just getting into the market, do they want to talk to a realtor first or get pre-approved? Should they have a certain number per month that they're looking to do in the sense of their monthly payment?
I think connecting with a realtor early on is a good idea, but I mean, I think you could do both in stride. Like, I think a realtor can give you a good, basic breakdown of what to expect, in the market.
Okay.
But I still think, connecting with a lender is got to be super high on the priorities, just because you need to know if you're qualified to do this. Of course, if you're cash, you have nothing to worry about. Go straight to the realtor.
No, for sure.
But at the same time, I've been fortunate to have good people surrounding me. I stand on the shoulder of giants, whether it's my broker or lenders that I'm working with, who are super knowledgeable about what it takes to get qualified or what someone might need to work on to become qualified over time. So I think just leaning on those people is well kind of in stride to make the best case to help someone buy.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I have a lot of realtors that reach out to me and they're like, Jacob, I think this client is pre-qualified for this. But then we do the numbers, we do the credit pull, and their qualifications are a little bit less. So it really just, like you said, you should do it in stride. I think reach out to your realtor, specifically the person you want to work with, and then see what that number you're qualified for, but also if you're comfortable with that monthly payment. That's a big thing. You could qualify for a lot more than you want to pay monthly.
Sure.
So that's a big thing. So this is the kind of time we like to talk about, staying in shape. This is mortgage and muscles. And my guy Alex here, he's still holding it down. So just give us a little bit about your fitness journey, what you do currently, how you feel, how you stay in shape, things like that. I know we both had a certain injury we could talk about a little bit. Yeah. And just let me know what you got going on right now.
Yeah, so what he's talking about, I fractured my ankle about 3 years ago now at the trampoline park with my son. And definitely not the best moments of my life, but it actually, I think over time, that same leg that I fractured became stronger. And so I play basketball, and I'm in multiple leagues with Jack's Fray here locally. That's a league in Jacksonville. And we just finished one of our summer league probably a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Which was great. Playing basketball is really the key for me, because I always tell everyone, like, you need to find that activity that doesn't feel like work, right? Because then it allows you this little gateway into working out, where it's like you started with something that didn't feel like work, and then inevitably it drives you to want to do more, and then the work feels a little easier.
No, for sure. And you got to have an outlet. We all need an outlet, no matter what you're doing. For work, you need something to, even if your family could be your outlet, but sometimes you need an outlet from your family, your friends, and basketball, gym, movies, art, my guy's into basketball. I still love basketball. I see MJ right here. But he can still dunk. I can a little bit. I got to get back. I could do a squeezer right now. But my thing is the weight room. I fluctuate every now and again, but I'm getting back into it. What do you think pertaining to like diet? Are you highly into that right now, or is it just kind of just being consistent, give and take on things like that?
Yeah, diet's definitely huge. I think it really starts with that. You'll never really see the growth that you want until you eat well with the workouts, right? Mm-hmm. You'll still maintain some of that body fat, especially as we're getting older, if you're not eating well, even if you're working out. And I'm fortunate. I'm in a relationship right now where, my significant other is someone who eats, I think, healthier than I do across the board. And it's kind of inspired me to do it more as well. So I feel like just focusing on that, eating well on a daily basis really does set the pace and sets the standard of your workout as well.
For sure. Diet is a big thing. Diet is going to also help you physically and help you mentally as well. So what you're putting in your body is going to have a reflection on how you're feeling and how you're doing from personal things to work. And, we like to kind of talk about a little bit more what's going on in real estate. Rates are going down. Like you said, the Feds meet next week. So that's a big announcement that we'll be looking forward to. What do you think is, if people are getting into the industry and they're looking for brokerage to kind of jump in with, would you say to kind of shop that around or ask questions with friends or family that's probably in the industry already? Or how do you choose what broker to work with initially?
So I feel like that question really struck me because the first brokerage that I joined, from the recommendation of a friend, and it didn't work out.
Okay.
I didn't vet it hard enough. I didn't do enough due diligence to determine if it was a good fit. Mm-hmm. And while I did learn a lot, I did learn a lot about what I didn't like about that brokerage over time and how it could be done better. Mm-hmm. And so I think, take everything at face value, or if you take everything at face value, I should say, it can hurt you. You really still need to look under the hood and make sure that this company is right for you. People are going to tell you worry about the split, and you should.
Okay.
Like you really, as a real estate agent, you need to be thinking about that. You need to make sure that the company that you're working with isn't taking all of the commission.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to note as well, though, is that they say if you're not earning big, you better be learning big. That's like a classic line. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot again in that first year, but I think a lot of it was what I needed to change to get where I want to go and where I am now.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm on the other end of the spectrum, so I don't necessarily know. Do the certain amount, the percentage that they take from you is predicated or dictated on the leads that they give you, or lead quality, or just other support systems that they have in place? Or
there's typically a correlation. Again, at that first company that I think was taking most of the commission, they were giving the leads. It was much more of a handoff, hot, ready lead. Someone who's really looking to buy has already shown that they're going to buy with or without you. Like they're going to buy with somebody. Okay. And so they really was more, catered. It almost felt like curated to you, to your style. Okay, this lead is perfect for this person.
Okay.
Second was like kind of a bridge of that, where it was like somewhat of a handoff. You had to do a little more of the work. And it seems to be there is a correlation with like how much work needs to be put in versus the commission you get.
Okay.
Or at least the split you get. Because now I feel like I do a lot for these leads, but then again, I'm being compensated for it, so it feels worth it.
That makes sense. So it really just depends on what type of personality you have, sounds like, and how much support you need to start off, and you may want to, get introduced to a certain type of brokerage based upon where you feel like you're comfortable at. One thing that I want to talk about, I like to ask a lot of realtors, I like to kind of inquire, what do you look in for a partner on a financial aspect? What are you looking for for lenders that you're working with? What's giving you the, okay, I think this guy, I can trust him. He says that the file is a good file. We're going to get to closing.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I try to stay in my lane, I focus real estate. I help people buy homes, negotiating is what I try to remain. That's where I think I give the most value.
Okay.
I know the lender has the ability to gain more insight, or maybe just has more insight into what makes a qualified buyer right off the bat. I mean, that's their job to look, to even just take someone who's telling a story and they go, okay, I'm pretty sure I can qualify you. Like, I don't have those numbers in front of me necessarily. So I am really the first person to be like, hey, you need to talk to a lender. Like, I need to get you in contact with someone who knows the industry really well back and forward, knows exactly what it takes to qualify. And it really does help working with like a broker who has the ability to reach out to multiple lenders.
Absolutely.
Because every buyer is different. What they can qualify for really is determined by their certain and specific situation.
That makes sense. And that is a big thing right there. That is the benefit of going with a broker or with a lender. Brokers, you have multiple access to different lenders and loan programs rather than just a lender. You're kind of in a box based upon the lender that you work with. So, but that's it. This is a great episode. Appreciate you coming in, Alex.
Thank you.
And we're going to do some more. I got to get back into a basketball team with him. And hey, appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next episode. Our contact information will be on the bottom of this video. If you have any questions, concerns, reach out to me or Alex, and we'll be able to assist you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.